Okay, so this is lesson number 2 for playing bass and reading music with Derek and the Demons. We're going to go over this manuscript super quickly. This song, The Way Things Ought to Be, hasn't even been released yet. It's one of the songs we're working on when all this happened and we haven't been able to practice. So it doesn't really have an ending yet, or at least we haven't come up with a ending, but this is the basic form, and I'll go through it with you right now. First off, we have the time signature, 4 beats to a measure again, and the quarter notes getting the beat. And the tempo is 120 beats per minute. So you could fit 120 quarter notes in the space of a minute. Still in the bass clef. Here we have a F sharp in the key signature. Before we didn't have anything here, but this song is in the key of E minor, and in the key of E minor there is an F sharp. There's also an F sharp in the key of G major. G major and E minor are enharmonically the same. Usually in different minor modes you'll put a sharp on the 7th note of the scale, but that's music theory stuff. You don't need to know that for now. Just trust me, we're in the key of E minor for this one, and E minor has an F sharp in the key signature. What else do we have that's new here? We have a DC. I think in the last piece we had a DS al coda, and with the repeats, DC means you go to the start of the page here. So you don't go to you don't look for that little S sign. You just go to the very top of the piece. And you're not going to be playing the repetitions when you do repeat this. We don't have the con rep part here. So it's just go back to the top and play through, ignore all the repeats, and then continue playing. When you get past this, though, you do play the repeats again. Looking through this, then we have here, I just put go back to the top and play to the end, because by the time we get to this point, we're kind of just improvising. We don't, like I said, we don't have the ending for this song yet. Anything else in here? Nope, this is all just quarter notes and eighth notes again. Why don't I just play a little bit? I'm going to turn these repeats off just so we can not have to waste time doing all the repeats. So I'm just going to play this a little bit, and then I will grab my bass and show you how to play it on the bass. Remember, these little dots mean staccato, so we're playing these short and sharp. And we're ignoring that repeat for now, but you would play that normally. The dynamics are pretty important in this song too. So we have these loud sections, and then we go to a quieter section. Here's where you would normally jump back to the beginning, but since I turned the repeats off for this, it just skipped that part. I'm just going to stop this now. That's basically the whole song, all the parts. I'm going to grab my bass and I'll show you how to play them on the bass. Okay, so I have my bass, and I'm just going to go through these little sections very quickly, show you how I play them. Starting right at the top here, we have a quarter note, 2 eighth notes, an eighth rest, an eighth note, an eighth rest, and then another eighth note. And then that second measure, we have the line of eighth notes here. And remember, the notes with the little dots above them, playing them short and staccato. So we start on the E quarter note, and then we have a B eighth note, and then an A eighth note, eighth rest, and then we have a G eighth note, eighth rest, then we have an E eighth note, and then we have this line of eighth notes in the second measure, which start on C, C, D, E, D, and then B, C, D, C. So putting it all together, it'll sound like this. On that fourth measure, instead of having the last two eighth notes filling out that measure of D and then back to C, I just have a quarter note on that D. So I'm just hanging on that D until the next measure, as opposed to. That's that first section, and then it repeats, and then the second section I just play a little variation on the first half of that riff, but the second half remains basically the same. All I'm doing is doing this octave thing with the E's. So 2 quarter notes and then 2 eighth notes. So it kind of has like a little funky rhythm there. And then eighth rest. And then we have a pickup D to the second, the second measure of that, which is that run of eighth notes again. So E, the bottom E, and then an octave E again, and then D, and then that little run of eighth notes again. So all together. And that's that riff. Moving on to the next section, we have these they're grouped like 3 eighth notes and then a pickup to the next 3 eighth notes. You see that? It's where the forte is. And that's kind of doing the same octave trick that I do, but it's in A this time. This is the chorus section. So that's those first 3 eighth notes. And then that second eighth note is kind of like a pickup into the next 3 eighth notes. This is just how I group them in my head. They're still just all straight eighth notes. So after these 8 octave jumps, looking at this measure here that starts on G with the eighth notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You get that? So it's G, 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 A, G, E, D, 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 B, A, G, E. So putting that together with the first half of that chorus riff. And then coming to the repeat of that again, does that same A thing, and then kind of a similar run of eighth notes for the last 2 measures of that riff. Little bit different. So again, starts on that G. So G, 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 A, B, 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 C, B, A, and then back to that main riff. So let's play that whole thing together. And that's basically the whole song. The rest is all just structure. So I'm going to set a few things up and we'll put it all together and you can play along. Okay, now that we know all the parts, we're going to put it all together and play along with a practice session that I recorded a couple weeks ago maybe. Again, this song doesn't have an ending yet, so after the structured lyrics part, it'll go into kind of an extended jam. I may just stop it before that so you're not too bored, but feel free to keep playing and experiment with this key signature and maybe do some improv if your heart so desires. All right, so we're going to start this and play along.
Astrology, maybe about astronomy, I don't care. Sister, come and talk to me, maybe about ecology, maybe the economy, I don't care. I won't make the first move, this is a safe space. So now you make the first move, 'cause it's your place. That's the way things are today. The way things are today. The way things are today. The way things are. Sister, come and talk to me. Maybe about philosophy, or maybe about photography, I don't care. Sister, come and talk to me, maybe about geology, maybe about geometry, I don't care. This is a safe space. So now you make the first move, 'cause it's your place. That's the way things are today. The way things are today. That's the way things are today.
you get the point. Feel free to keep jamming with the session that I upload. So that's basically the whole song. I will stop that and see you next time.